So today's lesson is on finding equivalent decimals, fractions, and percents. So here's the activator. A farmer has planted new crops for the fall. 20% of his field is made up of broccoli, 0.21 of his field is made up of kale, and 2/9 of his field is made up of lettuce. Another 1/8 is made up of potatoes. Order the crops from least to greatest. Go ahead and take 2 minutes and in your notebook, try to put these in order from least to greatest. Pause the tape. So looking at this problem, it's almost impossible to tell which is the most, the least, the middle, because they're all written differently. We have broccoli written as 20%, we have kale written as a decimal, and we have lettuce and potatoes written as fractions. So in order to accurately compare these, what we need to do is make them all decimals. The first two are easy. 20% is 0.20. That represents broccoli. I have that squared in black. 0.21 is already written as a decimal for kale. The thing is now we have to use the skills that we learned yesterday and convert the lettuce and potatoes into decimals. Pause the tape and go ahead and divide 2.00 divided by 9 and 1.000 divided by 8. When you divide 2 into 9, 2.00 divided by 9, 9 can go into 20 twice, which gives you 18. When you do 20 minus 18, it leaves you with 2. You bring down the 0, and no matter how many times you do this, you're going to end up with a 2. So it is 0.2 repeating. 1/8 is actually a terminating decimal, meaning it ends. 8 can go into 10 once. You have 2 left over, you bring down the 0. 8 can go into 20 twice, that leaves you with 16. 20 minus 16 is 4, bring down the 0. 8 can go into 45 times with nothing left over. Now that you have them all written as decimals, in order to compare them, because what it wants to know from the previous slide is it wants you to put them in order from greatest to least, which means we need to find the largest decimal to the smallest decimal. So broccoli was 0.20, kale 0.21, lettuce 0.22, and I could write as many 2's as I want since it repeats forever, and potatoes is 0.125. A reminder from when you've done decimals before, what we can add to these is a 0 on the end to keep them consistent, because now each of these decimals is to the thousandths place. So when we're looking at this, and a reminder, we want greatest to least, the greatest amount we see is right here, which is lettuce. So lettuce is first, followed by kale, followed by broccoli, and finally potatoes. If you have them all as decimals, it makes it much easier. Okay, take about 15 seconds and copy this little chart into your notebook. After the decimal place goes tenths, hundredths, thousandths, pause until you have this copied down. All right, when we convert decimals to fractions, it's really easy. You read the number you're given and then the final place value. So as you can see right here, this number is 34. The final place value, there's 1 2 digits after the 0, 1 2 digits after the 0 leaves you with hundredths. So this would be read as 34 hundredths. The way you write it as a fraction, the same way. 34 out of 100, 34 hundredths. Go ahead and pause the tape, and in your notebook, write these 3 decimals as fractions. Okay, we read this as 9/10. The number 9 is in the tenths place. 9/10 is simple. It's 9 out of 10. 0.125 would be read as 125 thousandths. The final decimal place is in the thousands, so it would be 125 over 1,000. And the last one, 4 hundredths, yeah, that's the number 4, and it's in the hundredths place, would be 4 over 100. Okay, decimals to percents. You know percents are out of 100. To convert, you move the decimal 2 places to the right. After I do these 3 examples, copy them in your notes and pause it. So 0.22 repeating. If I wanted to turn this to a percent, I'd move over 1 2 decimal places. So it would be 22%, but because that 2 repeats forever, it's actually 22.2 repeating percent. There's the first one. The second one, all I'm doing is moving that decimal over 2 places. 1, 2. The decimal is between the 7 and 5. That would be 7.5%. This last one, 1, I have 1 more place to go. So it would be 40, which is 40%. Take this into your notes and then try these three. Okay, after you've tried them, you move the decimal over 2 places, 33.3%. You move the decimal over 2 places, 8.4%. And you move the decimal over 2 places, 8%. Percents to decimals. This is new for you. You absolutely need this in your notes. It's the opposite. So you're moving the decimal 2 places to the left. So 6.5% as a decimal. There's one move. We have one more move to go. So it would be decimal 0.65. If we needed to check this, we could always move our decimal 2 points back over this way, and it would be 6.5%. Go ahead and pause the tape, take a minute, and convert these percents into decimals. Okay, here they are. The only one you may have had trouble with is at 115%, and you got to remember that is more than one whole. So you move the decimal over twice, it's 1.15. 9.5% is 0.095. Your assignment for today is bit.ly/conversions2, capital C, the number 2. If you need to go back and look at anything, go ahead.